So, okay. Well,
와우.
nice. Well done. Ah, okay. I need some time. The first thing is, I wish that 50% of the people in hi-fi were women. And I have a question. You have the two amplifiers. Which do you prefer the sound?
I prefer
The sound of it.
좋아요. 너무 비싸서 그렇지.
좋긴 제일 좋지.
솔직히 이게 더 좋은 것 같아.
Because in REGA, some people like this, some people like this. Prefer.
아니, 생각한 건데 이게 왜 XLR 단자를 여기만 들어가요?
Enough room. We need to have balanced and unbalanced, and there's not enough room. Well, we don't want to put balanced. The balanced on this sounds worse than the unbalanced. The problem of balance is it's a mythology in hi-fi. It's actually worse or the same sometimes. It's not better. And in most cases, to put a balanced output or input, you have to add more circuit to change it. So it can't make the sound better if you're adding more components. One way is to put a transformer, which we did on the Osiris, so you're not adding electrical components. But even the transformer changes the frequency response a bit. It's very difficult to make a high quality transformer. And there's absolutely no need. It's only because the professional industry use balance that hi-fi people think it's better. There are some very good articles in the Audio Engineering Society which explain this. There was also a very good article by a Swiss company called FM Acoustics, who make symmetrical amplifiers, and they explain the difference between balanced, unbalanced and symmetrical, because some people think they're the same thing. But the only reason for having a fully balanced input is to have XLR plugs with balanced cables, and the only reason for this is for have low noise in long cables. It's not for hi-fi or better sound.
일단 오늘 그 공식적으로 이제 기존에 이제 레가 제품들이 많이 나왔는데 본인께서 가장 애착이 가는 제품이 있는지 좀 알고 싶네요.
Ooh. One easy answer is all of them, but there have been some products I'm not so proud of. In the past we made a 25th anniversary turntable, which was a REGA 25, and we had to add a wooden surround, and it cost more, but the sound was a little worse, so I didn't like that. But some people like the solid wood. Now we try to have a philosophy of, if something is costing more, it must sound better. But my favourite product of all I have to split electronics, and my favourite electronics product at the moment is the Aura, the moving coil preamplifier, because of its extreme sound quality. We like to believe that almost everything we make at REGA will sound better than other products, even at any price. I think you can compare a Planner 3 turntable with most expensive turntables, not all maybe, because most of the designs have engineering flaws. So I think a Planner 3 is something I'm proud of because very low price, but can work very well. And we've been making it for nearly all our life. I'm very proud of the Aura because I didn't design it, and I think it's expensive for REGA, £4,000 or £5,000, but we've compared it with almost every possible phono preamp, some which are costing £120,000, and it's so much better than anything that's something I enjoy. And the 3, maybe the Arm, because that's the last product I designed on my own. It's difficult just to find one though, just one. For sound, not cost. I like the Ethos more, a little more than the Osiris.
He made a big mistake.
No, in REGA we are split 50-50. I think one way you can explain is if you have a very good recording, then the Ethos is capturing more, but if the recording quality is a little lower, so it's sounding a bit harsh, the Osiris is more forgiving, it's more warm, a little bit. So, but they both have good detail. The Osiris has a little more of its own character, which makes some things sound better, which I prefer not to have, because it's a character of. I prefer an instrument to have no character of its own. Same with turntables, loudspeakers, amplifiers. Our aim is to have no character for the product. It just makes the music come through. I don't know if you'd agree if the Osiris is warmer. I don't know if that word is correct in Korean or.
그 제품의 모델명을 지을 때 특별한 그 방법이 있는지. 그러니까 개인적으로 오시리스라는 그 이름이 너무 좋아서 혹시 특별하게 그 레가 제품의 그러니까 이름명을 지을 때 혹시 뭐 특별한 방법이 있는지.
Our philosophy is panic. Because we're not a marketing company and we're designing many products all the time. When we understand something can be a finished product, we then put in final energy and we come very close to finishing, and everybody says, oh, we don't have a name. What do we do? Right now we've finished the design of a new moving magnet cartridge, the first in 35 years, and we don't have names. And everybody's saying, oh, we just give it a number. And then Simon, who is closest we have to Mark, says, no, we should have a name for it. And it can't be the same as the old products because it's completely new, everything is new. So right now we're panicking about name for cartridge. So that everything was last minute. The only product with a story is the Naiad turntable, the Naiad with a D, because it was a piece of music that my mother was a very, very high quality concert pianist. And I didn't know this when I was younger. She played the piano. I didn't know she was a good pianist. And because my mum played the piano, I wasn't interested. And sometimes she would say, do you want me to play something? And almost everything she played with her students was boring. But this one piece of music I used to love. What I didn't know was it was very difficult to play. And so she would always say, what would you like me to play? And I'd say, play the Naiad. and she'd go, oh, no, I can't play, sorry, I need to practice. And I said, I don't care, you asked me, come on, you play it. So she'd play it and she'd make some mistakes, but it had a wonderful feeling, and I could almost see pictures. I didn't know then how difficult. When I was older and my mother had died, and we needed a name, and we already had some Greek names, and I looked up the naiads, and it was some Greek gods, some nymph, water gods, female gods. And my mum got this completely wrong. She said it was a man who was half man and half fish. And she was mixing up the stories from another folklore. So I discovered what she believed about the naiads was completely wrong. It was a Greek water nymph. And I started investigating, and we thought it was a good name for the turntable. And I thought, right, I will record somebody playing the music, be very simple, I've done a lot of recording, and we will give a copy free with everybody that buys a naiad. And this was a maximum of 50. But we thought it would be fun, just a good story to give a copy of the music with the turntable. And it's one of the only projects I failed, because I couldn't find anybody who could play it really well, and I couldn't find a piano that sounded good enough to record. So I learned a little bit about recording pianos. I learned how difficult the music was. It gave me respect for my mother, and it's a good name. Shorter. I'm forgetting about that. He has to.
다음 질문은 그 제품 사운드 튜닝 할 때 특별한 철학이 있는지 좀 알고 싶네요.
Yep. So I'm going to keep shorter bits. In hi-fi, we know many companies, and they listen to the sound of the product. For instance, I visited Dali in May, and they're comparing two different loudspeakers, and they're just saying, this one has more bass. We should make ours have more like this one. It's a competitor. And if you listen to reviewers, they talk about the extreme quality of the treble and the mid-range, and they use in different languages different words. We don't do any of that. We listen to the performance quality of the person singing or playing, or the arrangement of the music. And what we find is if you make better music, better quality, you can hear more of what the music is trying to communicate with people. And that's what we listen for. And then the bass and the treble and the mid-range happen naturally.
일단 개인적으로 레가 사운드를 좋아하는데 특히 브리오를 제일 좋아해요. 특히 이제 가성비가 좋아서 좋아하는데, 당신이 생각하는 그 레가 사운드의 매력이 무엇인지 좀 알고 싶습니다.
I could say the same thing because of the price and the quality. We have a friend in Norway, he's using a Brio with Martin Logan speakers. You'd think it's impossible, and the speakers are quite difficult, and he found it's the best amplifier for him, for the sound. All the other REGA amplifiers, the LX, the Illicit, the Ethos, come from the same circuit, which is, for me, a complete genius of the designer, and I'll explain why next. Our electronics designer is now 60-something, 65, I think, and he has a photographic memory. He can remember in his sight and brain every single circuit that's ever been produced in our world, which I cannot believe. If you take the top off an amplifier, you'll say, oh, that's a Texas Instruments circuit from 1973. Or if you look at another one, he'll go, oh, that was originally the Hitachi circuit from their development board. Or he could say, this one was developed by Quad, or he knows all the valve circuits, all the transistor circuits. It's unique. And one day we were trying to buy some electronic equipment when our company was small and we just started to make amplifiers. We couldn't afford new equipment, so we were going to a second-hand dealer, and they couldn't find the equipment they wanted, and Terry had disappeared. This was a big warehouse with lots of old things, and the Phil was with him, another person at REGA. Terry had disappeared, and Phil went to find him, and he'd found 2 pallets, this square, of old magazines and articles on amplifier design. And Terry was just, he couldn't believe this, and he said, I've got to have those. And they said, they won't fit in the car, and they're too heavy. And Terry said, I can't go. I have to have them. And they cost almost nothing, just £100 or something for all of it. But Terry wouldn't leave unless he had the magazines and the articles. So they paid the money. They started to put them in this old Escort car, Ford Escort. And Terry went and read all of it, everything, all the articles. And one of the things in a magazine, which is, what's the name of the magazine? It's a famous magazine for electronics engineers. And it had Wireless World, it was called, Wireless World. It was the time when valves were changing to transistors. And a very famous designer, his name was Lindsley Hood, and he designed the circuit for tone controls, which exist even today. And he didn't like the sound of modern transistor amplifiers because they were class AB, and he liked the sound of class A valve amplifiers, which most people would agree, if it's done correctly, the class A has ability to produce better sound. And he said there is a possibility with transistors to make a class A amplifier that doesn't give off too much heat, but now it's difficult because the transistors are not fast enough, and there was a technical problem. I don't know if you can translate this, but the driver transistors needed to be zero resistance to the power transistors. So it was a philosophical article saying it would be possible to make a class A sounding amplifier with not much heat, with transistors, but we can't really do it now because the transistors are not good enough. Terry read this in 1980 something and remembered it all, and he remembered the circuits. And when we started using modern transistors from Sanken, they had the driver transistor in the same chip as the power transistor. So there's almost zero resistance. And they're much faster. And Terry's brain was thinking, ooh, this could make the idea, which was in 1969, 1970, this could make the idea work. for me, that is just absolute genius. Remembering something, looking at the opportunity of an idea which he thought was really special but was impossible, and then he designed his own circuit around the modern transistors, which made the original idea work. So if you could translate that, and then there's another short story afterwards.
이번에 새롭게 출시한 그 엘리스트 MK5하고 그 일렉스 MK4 같은 경우는 이제 디지털 입력이 들어갔는데 그 동안에 디지털 입력을 그러니까 하지 않았던 이유가 있는지 좀 알고 싶네요.
Well, we now have two young designers who also work with Terry. One of them bought a Brio in America. He was studying electronics in America. He's actually a digital engineer, but he bought the Brio because he liked the sound. And as a student, he couldn't resist to look inside. And he looked at the circuit and he decided he wanted to become an analog engineer and understand everything that Terry understood. And he called us and said, I want to work for you. Can you imagine somebody in another country? So the reason we have digital input, the younger engineer, Ashton, is keeping up with digital technology. And when we're designing the new amplifiers, we're always critical about cost. And we don't want to include anything which will add the cost and reduce the sound quality. Normally, if you add some digital circuitry, it's quite easy to create an interference between the digital circuit and the analog circuit. And also, in the past, the cost was quite high, but Ashton, our young engineer, was telling us we can add now a digital input, which was based on the old REGA DAC, but we can add it at very little extra cost, and he can design the circuits so it's powered by a separate power supply from the transformer, and he believed we should have a digital input. We didn't all believe that. I'm not sure if I believed it, because some people would believe just having analog is an advantage. But Ashton was saying we designed also a case which reduced the cost, so we could keep the cost low with a new case design. You've seen the new Illicit. It looks better, much better than the old one, but it's cheaper to make. So it was what people say now, win-win. You have the extra digital with no problem for the sound quality. The next question might be, why not USB? That would add significant cost, and also to make the USB work well, you have to isolate the USB circuit from the ground, which we did with our old DAC, and that starts to get very expensive and take up a lot of space. So we could add the SPDIF with no cost increase because of the case reduction. It was win-win, but to add USB would be adding a lot of extra cost.
그러니까 지금 그 추세라면 일반적인 다른 앰프들은 이제 블루투스를 이제 넣고 있는데 레가 쪽에서는 앞으로 그 블루투스 같은 그런 기능을 넣을 생각이 없는지 좀 알고 싶습니다.
I think you already know the answer. Even now with I forget the name, but the modern Bluetooth, the sound quality drop is much too big.
자, 마지막 질문 이제 내가 앰프를 사용했을 때 가장 좋았던 베스트 매칭 스피커가 있는지.
Well, for us, it's not about matching. I think a product is either a good product or not a good product. When we make loudspeakers, we do a lot of listening to competitors. We believe the speaker market is competitive. For turntables, it might sound arrogant, but we don't think we have competitors. We just take a lot more information off the record, and nobody else does that. But with a speaker, it's more about preference of sound. But there are a lot of good loudspeakers, and even more bad ones. It surprises us. You can now download, design online how to make a loudspeaker, and quite often if you use the online download you can get better results than many commercial products. I'm looking around here, and maybe Tannoy have always produced, I've listened to some very good match is more difficult. One of the best sounds I ever heard was from a quad electrostatic from 1957, but you have to sit exactly in the right spot, exactly, and the sound is beautiful. Yeah, the first quad electrostatic loudspeakers. A lot of the older JBL loudspeakers, very, very good sound quality. The old Spendor BC1, I think, is as good as any modern loudspeaker. Right now, our favourite low-cost speakers will be Q Audio. These are products we say we have to make better sound, and the Q Audio is one of the best value. And also Dyne Audio make a very good small loudspeaker. It's not an exact answer to your question, but the reason is you as a distributor don't want to have many colours. It's the main reason. There's many reasons for just trying to keep one colour. And you'll see most products have just one. And I think the biggest reason is we're trying to sell just on sound quality. If people want to buy something because of how it looks, then there are many other beautiful looking products. Someone will buy this because they like, what does it look like? I'm not, but like a tank or something, a Russian tank. But everyone has opinions about looks. But for me, a product should be about its function, and a loudspeaker is to make sound, an amplifier is to make sound, and that's our philosophy. It's what we have at REGA, so we try to concentrate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Normally people want a turntable. They want me to sign a turntable.
나 할 수 있는데? 나 턴테이블 하고 싶은데, 나도 이거 원했던 건데, 여기다 싸해. 야, 너무 정성이신데.
Thank you very much.
됐다, 그치?
I would like to say hello to all the people who love REGA in Korea, and thank you so much for appreciating our products, and also thank you to Soria for supporting REGA. I have another room here. This is the newly product. They're asking us to make a turntable to go with the link.
Wow.
We're waiting for the brief. We said okay. Is it good? Good amplifier?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Is it based on the old Leak original? Because the old Leak Stereo 20 was one of